personalities. Some monkeys seem to be born timid, while others exude confidence. The researchers believe variations in what they call emotional styles lead to critical differences in the survival of individual male monkeys when they reach adolescence. Then, like a lot of teenagers, they seek independence, leaving the comfort of mother and home to join another troop. Tragically, 20% of the males die in the process, apparently unable to cope with the stress of change. The researchers wonder how the 80% who live differ from the 20% who die.
One of the questions that's come about is whether or not these 20% of the males that are dying actually could be from quote-unquote heartbreak. And they get so sad and depressed that they stop eating and actually will die. We believe that those animals that early in life who are more fearful are not going to do as well when they get under a stressful situation. Those animals that have the best regulation of their emotional states and know how to use their emotions in social situations are going to be more likely to survive.
While a monkey is born with an emotional style, his personality is also shaped by his mother, by how well she taught him to deal with stress. Nature and nurture combine to create a monkey's personality. This is more important than it might seem. Observations of young animals in the wild have shown that in a social group, personality can make the difference between acceptance or rejection, life or death. In the rainforest in Central Africa, filmmaker Martin Kolbeck got to know one sympathetic young character whose emotional style helped him stay alive even after his mother died. Most orphans in the wild don't survive.
There's one particular individual that elicited quite an emotional response. This was a young individual called Sashimi, who was an orphaned bonobo. He was orphaned at 3 years old. And when I was filming him, he was about 8 years old. And he was a little bit of an outcast in the family, but he had managed to survive because the males in the group had adopted him. Mutual grooming between Sashimi and the males was a very important component of his behavior. And presumably that's how he's managed to survive.
Although the males looked out for Sashimi, theirs is a matriarchal society. Without a mother to protect him, the orphan had to fend for himself.
So he was a feisty little animal, very wise and cunning, but he didn't really fit into the whole family structure, so he was a little bit of an outsider. However, on this one particular occasion, he was playing rough and tumble with one of the other young animals in the group, one of the other young bonobos, a younger individual, who, I assume because he had the support of his mother, got a little bit rough with Sashimi. So Sashimi, being Sashimi, got his own back and started jumping up and down on this other individual. The mother of the younger bonobo saw what was going on and decided to attack Sashimi extremely violently and bit its finger very, very badly. Interestingly enough, the alpha female of the bonobo group then interfered and separated the two of them. The whole group of bonobos went completely crazy, a lot of vocalizations, a lot of screaming. Whereupon Sashimi ran up a tree and he had a very badly bitten finger. Subsequently, about 10-15 minutes later, Sashimi returned to the center of the group and then lay upside down on a log, feeling very sorry for himself. Other individuals in the group, particularly young ones, noticed that he was distressed or hurt or upset, whatever you want to call it, and came to investigate. And they made these very, very subtle, quiet vocalizations. Who knows what they were feeling, but it looked extremely compassionate to me. And they were showing, it seemed to me to be showing an enormous amount of sympathy to Sashimi's plight. And it was extraordinarily human. We can attribute human emotions to animals. I mean, we're looking at animals in a different way now, I think. And these long-term studies, the primate, the great ape studies, the elephant studies, studies of other animals, a different picture is emerging.
All mammal brains work with a sophisticated reward and punishment system, triggering the emotion of fear or anxiety in a dangerous circumstance, or offering pleasure as an emotional prize for healthy behavior. Play lets young animals develop survival skills, like the critical ability to read another animal's intentions, so play is rewarded by a flush of happiness.
Animals play partially because they have an experience of joy.
Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp has spent 20 years trying to find the origins of the most positive emotion, joy. Surprisingly, he's found some answers in the company of rats, playful rats.
As we have listened to animals playing, we have heard what appeared to be the sounds of laughter. And we studied these for a couple of years without quite understanding that this might be laughter. And then one day we decided to tickle some animals. And we realized that we had to look at the sounds at a very different register than we can hear. So we obtained these transducers that are called bat detectors, that can bring very high frequencies down to our auditory range. And when we did this and we listened in, we could tickle animals and generate a lot of vocal activity that appeared to be laughter. These animals would begin to enjoy our company, and they would start to play with our hands, and wherever we would put our hands, they would follow it. And when we tested these animals to ask whether they were enjoying this kind of activity, the unambiguous answer was yes. One way was to have a long runway, and we put the animal on one end, and on the other hand we put our hand. And we just see whether the animal likes to run to our hand when we tickle them. And animals run much faster when we tickle them than when we just pet them. Tickling seems to activate something special inside their brains.
Play strengthens connections between neurons in the brain that can actually make an animal more intelligent, more fit, and a more successful adult.
There's a powerful relationship between play and opiates in our brains. In general, they're called neurotrophins, but let's just call them brain fertilizers. Without these molecules, our brains cannot connect up properly. We know that some of these molecules are turned on by touch. And what happens in play? Lots and lots of touch.
Professor Mark Bekoff teaches animal behavior at the University of Colorado. His job requires him to spend hours and hours watching dogs play.
People are interested in the emotional content of play And to me, it is one of joy and pleasure. This cloud of play just sort of hangs over these animals, and they look like they're smiling. They're enjoying themselves. A lot of people often ask me why dogs smile, and I think that one reason is because they're very relaxed and their jaw just drops and they're just very, very happy and they have what we call a play face. But another reason that smiling may really occur is because it serves some communication value. Another animal might see my face and just go, well, he's smiling. I don't know what they call it, but he's smiling and he must be happy and he must be looking for a play partner.
Play is more than just fun. It lets animals safely learn life skills without having to pay for their mistakes. It's practice for life's inevitable dangers.
The real world of any species is very complex and very unpredictable. And so they need to be able to deal with rapidly changing situations. The form of play that's best for survival for a species depends a lot on how the species lives. So, for example, ungulates such as deer, elk, and moose might show mostly anti-predatory behavior. So that might involve high amplitude or jumping movements to avoid being preyed on or eaten. In carnivores, often you see what's called predatory play, in which they use behavior patterns that they use in predation or trying to get food in their play. Some animals show a lot of solitary or object play. These would be animals who tend to live alone and don't have the luxury, if you will, of having playmates. Animals look happy when they play. They seek it out relentlessly. And if they can't get another animal to play, they often chase their tails or go play with an object. If they don't enjoy it, why do they seek it out? Well, it's because play is important and it makes them feel good. Animals tend to do things that they like to do, no different than human beings.
Over the years, observations of Washoe and her family have revealed the chimpanzee's inclination to play as human children play.
They would either animate an object, like take a teddy bear and tickle it. I mean, you can't tickle teddy bears, right? But you can't feed a doll either. Or feeding dolls, so you're animating an inanimate object. Another imagination play is to turn something into something else. Turn a pencil into an airplane. Children do that all the time. Moja turned a purse, she knew the sign for, into a shoe. She called it a shoe. Then she put the purse on her foot and started, sort of walking around the floor with it. So they have imagination. They will play. If your head's covered, you can do things to people that you're not allowed to do. In other words, I can pinch you or nip you. So that's a game that sometimes they'll play. We call it the ghost game. I don't know what they think it is. Also, they put on masks. We'll pretend to scare each other or scare us. That's a great game. So they have these pretend games like we have as well. It's just social relationships, turn taking, is knowing the game, is knowing the rules, and being with other people. And that's the way we keep our relationships going. Because they're captive, because they're in an institution, to break the routine